Hello, how you going? Welcome back to Jason's very average podcast. I think I've settled on the name, Jason's very average podcast. Not sure just yet, but tell me what you think. What's been happening the past couple of days? Well, let me tell you, I'm pretty angry, or I was yesterday, really angry and frustrated. But let's start with good news. Good news is past couple of days I went on a bike ride. First day, let me set the scene. I'm down in Box Hill South. Ooh, a reference that only 3 of you will get. I didn't grow up in that area, but it's close enough to be in that area. It was a beautiful autumn day, sun like coming in the right angles through the leaves and like dappled light, and it was just awesome. And as I was walking up the hill, because I only have one gear on my bike, as I've mentioned, and it's quite difficult. So as I was walking up the hill, I saw 2 carloads, 4 people, 2 cars, and a bunch of Indian dudes, so 4 Indian guys. They were like miming to a hip hop track or singing along. One guy was, maybe he was doing a TikTok, I don't know. And it just reminded me, that whole experience just reminded me of school, because I grew up going to Glen Waverley High School, and just the Indian guys there would love to, act all hip hop and ghetto. And I was like, oh my God, it's like I'm back to when I was at high school, going on my bike without my phone, because I didn't really have a phone. Actually, I didn't have a phone until I was 16. So, it was like, it was weirdly liberating. And I just had a really great experience. It's almost like deja vu. Not quite, but yeah. That's kind of, and then yesterday, what happened is I went out, but I went out for a different reason, because I, as you do, got frustrated. People commenting on one of my Facebook messages that isn't, exactly, it's quite political. So I was in a Facebook fight with a couple of people, namely just one person, and that pissed me off. And so I went out on my bike ride very frustrated to kind of get that energy out. And it didn't really work. So, which leads into my second point. If you're frustrated and angry, even if you're rightly so, don't vent on Facebook. Unfortunately, it's kind of weird, because I was talking about censorship and how we shouldn't censor, and people should be free to to say what they want, and how that isn't happening in China. And ironically, I'm self-censoring. But for your health, for your mental well-being, it's best not to get into fights with people on Facebook, because they probably have a lot of time on their hands as well, and you're really not limiting screen time or anything like that. It's a bad deal. It's a bad deal. But what I would say is this. Moving away from China, the Australian government is telling us, look, you're not in quarantine, but you're, advised to stay at home. And if you have nowhere to be, stay at home. But you're not in quarantine. And what about the tens of thousands of people who have just been made laid off? What about the people that are already laid off that, would only get their social interactions done like on the weekend, where you'd visit people, and so if you're saying that we can't meet up, say in a park, still social distance, because that's not right, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. Having said that, though, I still see, as of like yesterday, on Instagram, one of my former students posting an Instagram pic of her with 3 other people, all buddied up. I'm like, come on. And it was in Chinese, so I couldn't read what it said. Maybe it was a photo from, you know, weeks ago. I don't know, but it's like, come on, you know, like what are you doing? And of course I didn't really want to start an argument or whatever, so I didn't say anything. So I'm like, don't know really what to do in that situation. But yeah, like, if this is the thing, if we don't social distance effectively, I'm talking 90, 95% of people social distancing more, right? The way it works, and I'll put a link in the description, is that the self-quarantining will kind of, the peak wouldn't be so high, but it just kind of, the tail will just keep on going, which means that these measures will be in effect for a much longer time than if, say, we're all quarantined for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? So if we're all quarantined for 2 or 3 weeks, we get a really good grasp on who's got it, and and contain, essentially identify and contain, and then we'd be able to kind of relax those laws. But instead, again, what makes me freaking angry is every day there's a new restriction. Now the latest one is beaches are closed here in Melbourne. So, and then they're gonna close parks, and they're gonna just do it already. Lock us down, hurry up. Okay, moving on from that. Oh, one more thing. If I'm feeling this frustrated, and I'm not sure if this is coming across, but I was really frustrated yesterday. If I'm feeling this frustrated, what's happening with the rest of the people? Normally I can keep myself, pretty good. But I'm sure there are people that are just livid. And when are the riots gonna start happening? There's reports coming out of the UK of people being mugged for their nurse IDs so that they can get access. When are the riots going to start happening? And then if that happens, what the hell's going to happen? Anyway, there's a thought. Write a script. Okay, my final point. Through all of this, I think, in combination with my bike riding and the food I'm eating, I think I'm going to get pretty cut, especially in the lower part of the stomach area, abdominals, and that's the bit where, that little chunk of fat that you can't really kind of get rid of. And here's my reasoning for it. One, the bike works that part out. And two, because I don't want to go to the shopping center so much, or go to the shops so much anymore, because eventually people are going to be sick that are going to go out and infect all the fruit and veg, and so you just don't want to touch that. I've previously stocked up. Yes, I was one of those people, but even before people were starting to hoard, well, right when they were starting to hoard, I stocked up on lentils and chickpeas and what else? Couscous. And some other grains and beans and stuff. So essentially, because I'm not going to the shops so much anymore, right, all the junk food, all the shapes and chips and stuff that I would buy normally on a shop, I don't have that anymore because I've already eaten it, and I don't want to go to the shops, so I'll cook the stuff, the healthy stuff that I have in my cupboard, and that way, I'm going to be super trim. Anyway, that was meant to be funny, but it clearly was not. Clearly, still frustrated. So, yeah, hit me up with some comments. Let me know how you're feeling. Are you frustrated? Are you angry? I think the last video I talked about depression, about being sad. Now I'm angry, but again, coming out of it, and it's okay to be in these states and have those days, and then coming out, just make sure you gotta come out of it. And I'm sure there are a lot of people now that can't come out of it, and it's up to us to kind of find out who those people are, and say that you're not doing so well and admit it. So, yeah, ring people up, ring people you haven't talked to in a while, and don't use Messenger, just ring them up. Cool, peace. And I'll see you in the comments.